Many people don't know this, but the Corvette actually started with a V6 motor and it was almost discontinued. It wasn't until the V8 came around that Chevy saw a rise in sales and decided to keep the model, and the rest is history. The question is, does Need for Speed Heat actually love that history, and do they pay tribute to it by making a V8 motor the fastest motor for the car in the game? Welcome to the Militia gaming community. I'm Trigger Militia, and this video is all about the 2017 Corvette Grand Sport in Need for Speed Heat. Let's go! The Militia gaming community and Dave Loves Games came together to create a community Discord. If you'd like to join the Discord, there's an invite link in the description down below. This is the best way to keep up on what's going on with both of our channels. So make sure you hit that invite link and we'll catch you over there. If you are familiar with these build videos, go ahead and skip to about the 2-minute mark. If not, here's how these videos go. I buy each engine for the car and test it on the day races Aerion and Aarvark to find out which one is the fastest. During the testing, I record the final race time and compare it to the other engines for the car. I only record a time if the race was super clean. I've had over 400 races on both of these courses, so I know them like the back of my hand. If I make a driving mistake, I just instantly restart the race and throw that time out. My goal is to be as consistent and accurate as possible when doing this. After I find the fastest engine, I optimize it for each type of racing this game offers: track, drag, drift, and dirt, giving you 4 completely different builds to use for each type of racing in this game. I also have my personal top 20 for these 2 track courses, so we can compare the times for this car with the rest of the cars that I've tested to see how everything stacks up. The idea is to have some sort of foundation to rank these cars from fastest to slowest, but keep in mind that this is just my personal top 20. There are other YouTubers and other people out there driving faster times on these 2 courses using different builds and race shortcuts. The goal though is to find the fastest engine for the car, because that seems to be the biggest headache when building cars in this game. There are 10 different engines for this Corvette Grand Sport, which means testing took a long time. That's 10 different motors on 2 different tracks, trying to make sure that I had a perfect run on every single one. It was a long process. However, driving this car was actually a pleasure. It handles very, very well on the track, and particularly on Aerion and Aarvark. Now, despite Chevy's history with the V8 motor, it was actually the 640 horsepower 8.4 liter V10 that ran the fastest. The stock engine was pretty close, but the V10 was 2 seconds ahead on Aarvark, giving it the edge. Overall, like I said, this car handles very, very well. However, it could use a minor adjustment to downforce, so I increased it just a little bit to give it more traction going through tighter turns. I tested each of the gearboxes, and the 7-speed gearbox happened to be the fastest. I also tested each of the tire options, and race tires allowed for the best possible lines, producing the best possible times on both of those tracks. My fastest run on Aerion was 252.02, which is fast enough to make it the 6th fastest car in the game. It narrowly beats out the Ford GT on paper, but I think the Ford still has the advantage in races where there are longer straights. At Aardvark, I ran a 431.24, which again is very fast and puts this car in the top 10 at number 8 on Aardvark. Aardvark does have a couple of longer top speed sections, so you'll see that the Ford GT is slightly ahead of it on this track. Depending on driver skill, these cars are almost interchangeable. So my full build looks like this: 640 horsepower 8.4 liter V10 engine, Ultimate Plus engine parts, Ultimate dual turbo, 5x3 pound NOS, Super Track suspension, Elite brakes, Elite race tires, Elite Plus clutch, Elite 7-speed gearbox, Super Track differential, minimum steering sensitivity, and up 2 on the downforce. As a track car, it's extremely capable and almost snuck into the top 5. I would recommend this car all day in online lobbies. Moving on to the drag build. To make my drag build, I use the track build, and then I add drag tires, minimize the downforce, and switch to the 15-pound NOS bottle. Then I test the gearboxes to see which has the best quarter-mile time. In this case, it was fairly close, but the 7-speed gearbox was about a car length ahead of both the 6 and the 5-speed, and therefore it earned its place in my drag setup. The full build looks like this: 640 horsepower, 8.4 liter V10 engine again, Ultimate Plus engine parts and Ultimate Dual Turbo, the 1x15 pound NOS, Super Track suspension, Elite brakes, Elite drag tires, Elite Plus clutch, Elite 7-speed gearbox, Super Track differential with a minimum downforce. This build produces an 8.67 quarter-mile time with a 1.87 0 to 60. That's in the middle of the pack as far as the cars I've tested, so it's good but not great. There are several cars, especially with NOS, that will beat this Corvette in a drag race. Moving on to drift. With a car like this, I start with my standard rear-wheel drive setup, and for this car, it actually does work. It's not the highest scoring drift car out there, but it's very capable. You can definitely use this car to 3-star all of the drift sections in the game. If you're not familiar with my rear-wheel drive setup, it's simple. You use the speed cross suspension with drag tires and drift differential. Everything else on the car should be the highest tier parts you have available. Then you tune the downforce to your liking. Less downforce will give you more slide, more downforce will give you less slide. For most rear-wheel drive cars, this works perfectly. So my full drift build for this Corvette looks like this. Same 640 horsepower engine, Ultimate Plus engine parts, Ultimate Dual Turbo, and 5x3 pound NOS, Super Track suspension, Elite brakes, Elite race tires, Elite Plus clutch, Elite 7-speed gearbox, Super Track differential with the minimum downforce. Alright, let's move on to the last category, the dirt. The Corvette has zero recognition for being an off-road car, but in the game, the story is different. It ran a very fast 150.7 on HTV2 and the same exact time as the RSR on Rumble of 314.1, giving it a combined time of 504.8, and that makes it the 4th fastest off-road car I've tested. At first, I had the downforce a little too low. The back end was sliding all over the place, and I couldn't control the car very well or regain traction after sharp turns. So I raised the downforce back up to its default level and the car felt much better. You can play with this setting as you need to, but for me the default level of downforce was the best. So here's the full build. 640 horsepower engine again, Ultimate Plus engine parts and Ultimate Dual Turbo with 5x3 pound NOS, Super Rally suspension, Elite brakes, Elite off-road tires, Elite Plus clutch, Elite 7-speed gearbox, Super Rally differential with minimum steering sensitivity and default downforce. All in all, this Corvette is pretty good at many of the different types of racing you'll do in the game. You can use it to 3-star the drift sections, you can definitely win every off-road race, and you'll probably win about half the drag races online. However, what this car was designed to do is race on the track. It is at heart and in the game a true track car. It is now being filed away in my head as one of the fastest cars in the game, and I will start using it in online lobbies. This is a great track car. Alright, thank you to everyone who is supporting this channel by continuing to watch these build videos. I really appreciate all the growth this channel is experiencing, and it's because of all of you guys watching. I really couldn't do it without you. Remember, hit me up on Instagram if you have any questions about this video or any video. I really read every single message that comes my way, so don't hesitate to send me a DM. I'll respond as soon as I'm available. Alright, that's it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Trigger out.